Here!
It's good to have some extra hands around here.
How are the others?
Ready to follow wherever you lead. The sensei told them you're the only person on Tsushima who can kill the Khan.
I can't do it alone. Or without a plan of attack.
And we know he's at Port Izmi, surrounded by an army.
We need to know the weakness in their defense, how to get past them, and where to find the Khan.
Sounds like we need a hawk's view of the place. I know where we can get one. We'll have cover of darkness if we leave now. Port Izmi. We'll have a better view from the lighthouse. Just need to get up there.
Without being noticed. Let's move.
Why would the Khan come up here?
He'll sail for our mainland. Attack it, just like he did here. This is our last chance to stop him.
These flowers.
The same ones I used to make my poison.
Your uncle said we're picking them.
To use against us.
Did we do the right thing at your uncle's castle?
I took a risk, and my poison saved thousands.
What if it kills thousands more?
We have to stop the Khan before it comes to that.
You're right. We need to kill him. Soon.
We can't get in the front, but we could climb around the cliff.
And sneak in through the back. Lead the way. What's in all these barrels? Supplies?
Flowers. Poison. One barrel holds enough to kill hundreds. Khan will use this against the mainland. We can't let him leave Tsushima. We'll scout Port Izumi from the top of the lighthouse.
Right behind you.
Look at the waves. They're flat.
The kind you see before a storm.
That could work to our advantage. For now, I'll leave the lighthouse dark. Make sure the Mongols can't use it when the storm hits.
It can relight it once they're gone. Let's get a look at the port. Over here.
Let's find our plan of attack. That ridge has an open sightline to the Mongol fleet.
Imagine what we could do to their ships if we had our own watchers.
The Mongols left that area empty,
Too open. Can't defend it.
but a good place for an ambush. We could place archers there.
Force the Mongols to fight uphill?
Khotun would send horsemen to outflank us. See how the birds are circling?
Like they're scared of something on its way.
The storm, preparing to fly inland for shelter. The harbor master's estate. Khan may have taken it for himself.
Close to the docks. And his fleet. Makes sense.
Khan is almost ready to sail for our mainland. With ships full of men, explosives, and my poison. If we don't stop him here, the shogunate will fall.
Storm is our key to beating him.
When it comes, the Khan will have to shelter his fleet in the bay. That's when we strike.
Destroy his ships and everything on them. To do this, we'll need Mongol weapons.
A simple task for a master thief.
We need fighters, too.
A small force could distract the Mongols, while I get inside Port Izumi. Kill the Khan.
Good work.
Let's get back to Jokaku and prepare.
Am I ever gonna get a new horse?
I've got some good news.
Are the plans coming?
Kenji found where we can steal watchers from the Mongols. I'm heading there now.
That's a good start. But we need more fighters.
No.
My uncle wants the Khan dead as much as we do. He'll join our attack.
He'll throw you in prison.
I'll write him a message. Leave it in his quarters.
In a castle full of samurai.
I'll be gone before they know I was there. There. Let's hope my uncle reads it.
I'm not letting you leave without a good horse.
It looks cool. It's very Art Deco. It's like futuristic Art Deco. Um, and like I think we want to change the aesthetic over time. You don't want the aesthetic to be constant over time. You want to evolve the aesthetic. Um, so, like I kind of sense like the tapes. You know, he's like, I don't know. So if you could find us an answer, that would be great. Well, let me ask this question. Um, have you looked at all the photos and Epstein files?
I have looked at all the information that the investigators who investigated this case provided to run out credible leads.
And in the Epstein file, was there that creepy birthday message that Donald Trump had written to Epstein?
Well, that's what I was trying to tell you. You raised a great point. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein has a voluminous amount of information that they had not released before.
Okay, so that's great. So, would it be great if FBI subpoenaed the estate of Jeffrey Epstein for all that information?
The estate is under no obligation to provide that material, even pursuant to a subpoena. That's the point.
Yeah, that's just false.
Okay.
It's just false. You're the frickin' FBI. You can subpoena information from the state, and you better do that.
That's literally not how it works.
Let's move on now and talk about Epstein's client list. You confirmed that it exists. The Attorney General and I confirmed earlier this year that it exists. I just want to ask you a simple question. Is Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list?
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names that contains Jeffrey Epstein.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index has been released, and the index will speak for itself.
Oh my god.
America is a huge red flag. The FBI director could not answer whether Donald Trump is on
Until the
Epstein's
science
client.
expired, I do not recognize the gentleman from Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the director for being here and for his work over the last several months, removing the taint of partisanship that has affected the intelligence community over the past several years under the last administration and the last several directors, standing up for law enforcement, standing up for the brave men and women who work in your agency. But to set the record straight, we have to correct the record. And the record, early days of the first Trump administration saw a dramatic spike in news stories that contained sensitive and sometimes classified details about the FBI's bogus Russia probe, about a leak a day. It's unacceptable that senior FBI officials coordinated to leak classified information to try and harm President Trump. The documents produced to the committee in August of this year revealed that the FBI interviewed a former intelligence committee staffer who gave details on a systematic process through which leaks of classified information were affected by then Chairman, now Senator Adam Schiff. Were these findings escalated within the Bureau's chain of command, and if so, what level?
Sorry, were the findings
Were these findings that were given to us escalated within the Bureau's chain of command, and if so, what level did you receive this information?
that entire matter is currently under investigation by the people at the FBI that handled leaks of classified information.
All right, it's good to know that there is an ongoing investigation. Can you tell me whether these leaks to the media compromise any ongoing FBI investigations during the Trump process?
I can tell you, generally speaking, the leaks of classified information are detrimental to any of the FBI's.
Former Director James Comey testified in the Judiciary Committee that he had never been an anonymous source, nor authorized anyone to be an anonymous source in news reports on matters relating to was true.
In reference to Director Comey, I'm very limited in what I can say because of what the current status of those matters are with the FBI and the Department of Justice. When I am able to make those public, I will.
Can you tell me if there's an ongoing investigation there?
again, without identifying any individuals related to the information they're generally speaking about, there is an ongoing matter that has been under review by the Department of the FBI for some time.
Because we know that the documents that we received last month revealed that former Director Comey used Columbia University law professor as a conduit to leak stories to the media that contained classified information. We move on to the way that the FISA process was weaponized by past directors. Prior to your confirmation, you raised concerns about government misuse of FISA, including Section 702, stating that FISA was in need of major reform. Specifically, you highlighted that the fifth report that the FBI had conducted 278,000 improper searches of the FISA database. Do you remain concerned about governmental abuse of FISA in Section 702?
I'm always concerned, but what we've done since I became FBI director is implement new audit systems. We have nearing 100% review of the 702 query system that you are specifically referring to, and we've also eliminated anyone that has ever touched that database that has in any way made a mistake, whether intentional or not. And we have also identified a system in which those going forward who misuse the 702 system, they don't get 2 strikes, they get 1 and you're done.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned you're continuing to audit because, as you know, in May, the New York Times reported you closed the FBI's Office of Internal Auditing. Can you explain why you decided to close this office?
Yeah, because under the new restructuring of the FBI, to save resources, there were 2 different places doing the exact same thing. We had a specific division dedicated to audits. I didn't need another audit system doing the audits again. So we folded some of those folks with their expertise into our specific division, and then took the rest of those folks and moved them out across the country.
Under previous FBI leadership, FBI agents were found to have lied to the FISC. There have been hundreds of thousands of violations of querying standards. In light of past violations, what action is the FBI taking to ensure that similar abuses do not occur in the future?
Exactly what I've outlined. You cannot have access to the 702 query system if you improperly query that system at all at any time in your career.
Okay, at a Senate hearing 2 years ago, your predecessor, Director Wray, testified that FBI had previously purchased U.S. phone geolocation data for a specific national security pilot project, and further stated that the project had not been active for some time, and that the FBI relies on a court-authorized process to obtain location data from companies. Does the FBI purchase location data or any other data of Americans from data brokers?
I don't believe so. I'll get back to you.
Thank you, that'd be important. Appreciate that. I yield back.
Tilly is back. Tilly from Washington, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, before you joined the FBI, you had very strong opinions about what the FBI was hiding regarding Jeffrey Epstein. In a September 2023 interview with Glenn Beck, you said, the Black Book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. In December 2023, you said, let us know who the pedophiles are. Even for a short time after becoming FBI director, in February of 2025, you tweeted, quote, there will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned. In June, you told Joe Rogan, quote, we've reviewed all the information, we're going to give you every single thing we have and can. But then suddenly in July, everything changed. You and Attorney General Pam Bondi released one video and said that there was nothing more to see. Your July memo says you uncovered more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence, but that you had decided no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. That is a quote. I think what happened, Mr. Patel, is that suddenly you discovered that Donald Trump's name was all over these files, and you started a giant cover-up. So you are under oath, Mr. Patel. You just testified to Mr. Swalwell that you did not speak to the president about the Epstein files. To your knowledge, did Attorney General Pam Bondi speak to the president about what was in the Epstein files?
I can't speak for Attorney General Pam Bondi.
So to your knowledge, you don't have any information. The question was, do you have any knowledge? Do you have any knowledge?
I can't speak.
You are refusing to answer the question, so let me tell you that the Wall Street Journal reported that in May, Bondi told Trump that he was in the Epstein files, and at the same meeting said that the DOJ did not plan to release the files. Yesterday, you testified to Senator Kennedy that there was, quote, no credible information that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone else, and that you have, quote, continuously and publicly asked the public to come forward with more information, and we'll look into it. Today, in response to Mr. Mass's question, you appear to say that the survivors were not credible. These are survivors.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you this in a second, but let me tell you about the survivors, and let's bring them up here into the room. These are women who came to the Hill and testified that they were groomed and raped at the age of 14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to
Is the answer yes or no to find out or you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped?
Any insinuation by you or any people on your side that I am not manhunting child predators and sex traffickers just looks at your fact. And you talk about cover-ups, man. You talk about cover-ups. I will on you during the Obama and Biden administrations when these so-called cover-ups were going on. Anyone in those administrations talk to any of these purported witnesses. I have some regular orders. I'm a single person to provide credible information.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Washington. When you accuse a witness of something, he's allowed to respond. That's how it works.
Listen, he didn't even, excuse me, it's fair. But this is not fair. No, this is not fair. And he said that the witnesses were not credible.
Seconds of time.
I'm going to get an additional minute of time because that's
You'll get a minute, you'll get some seconds. What we think is 5 minutes. You don't get the minutes. That's not how it works.
Mr. Patel, are the victims of the Jeffrey Epstein horrific trafficking ring, are they credible?
Any person with information about ongoing sexual trafficking.
I'm asking you if they're credible.
Ma'am, I'm commenting on the evidence we have. And we have routinely asked for people to come forward with more evidence. And the evidence that we have is the same evidence that the Biden and Obama Justice Department has. And they determined, not me, they determined that that information was not credible.
He's not letting me even ask my questions.
You ask the questions, he gives an answer. You may not like what he said, but
I'm asking
you get interrupted.
my question.
Mr. Chairman, I think we're restoring the gentle lady 45 seconds.
We'll give her additional 30 seconds, which is what I said.
I'm going to keep taking my time.
You
Because
take the time that you get.
you are not answering the question. The question is, are these women credible? It's a yes or no answer.
I have answered the question.
Well, what is the answer?
I'm telling you, I'm the only FBI director that has welcomed new information in this case. This administration is the only one that has welcomed any new information in this case.
Is there a yes or no?
Present new credible information. Present new information.
Are the victims credible?
The victims
not.
I'll tell you what happened in the last Trump administration. Victims suddenly came forward, and you know what happened? President Trump authorized the indictments of Jeffrey Epstein. Not Biden, not Obama. No one else.
The entire thing, a Democratic vote. So I would like to ask you.
Gentlelady is not expired. I gave her the additional 45 seconds. The gentlelady yields back. The gentleman is
If you would meet with the women who were sexually abused and raped and groomed and 16 years old to cover up, including those that took me out of this
Time belongs to the gentleman from New Jersey. I appreciate the gentlelady yielding back.
Mr. Patel.
Go ahead.
Will you allow them to testify to you,
Mr. Patel? Mr. Patel, thank you for being here. I know it's been interesting and difficult 2 days. And I wasn't going to talk about the FCC because there's a lot of other issues that affect the FBI, but I have to say a few words. I sat here, I've listened to this, I've watched it, and my Democratic colleagues are so concerned now, Mr. Patel, all of a sudden. Where were they last year? Where were they the year before? Where were they the year before that? Where was the last president in any of this? All I know, the only thing I see is a single letter from the ranking member that was sent in 2019 that he didn't like the plea deal, and some people signed on to that. Most of the troops The real truth, let's be honest, let's be intellectually honest. The real truth is we didn't hear from them at all. Anybody of them. Hardly any of them ever mentioned it. Some of them didn't mention it at all until the beginning of this year. Earlier in the year it started. Not one Democrat asked Director Ray. We all remember Director Ray was here. Not once, not twice, multiple times. Nobody asked Director Ray about Epstein before this committee. Nobody was that concerned. Where was the concern for the victims then? Where was the moral righteousness then? Where was the outrage then? Where was the sense of duty then? Where was the desire for accountability then? Where was the urgency for justice then? Most of all, where the hell was the integrity then? You know what the truth is. Let's just say it, man. Tell the truth time. The truth is, it's politically useful for them to try to do this now, even though they didn't give a damn about it in the past. And you know what? That's an insult to the victims, and that's an insult to America. Continue to do the work you're doing. Continue to uncover what needs to be uncovered. One real quick thing before I say anything to 9/11. We know that was mishandled by the past director and by the past FBIs. There are family members here. There were family members who were concerned. God Almighty, we want to get to the truth of that. I ask you, please, to meet with them, to talk to them, and to investigate this with truth. You know, in the Biden administration, we went through a very dark and difficult period of time. The FBI trust was broken with the people. Catholics were, this is the stuff we've been talking about, were labeled radical threats for praying in their churches with their rosaries. Parents at school boards were called terrorists for standing up for their children. Hindu holy men in New Jersey. We have the largest Hindu temple in the world. They were attacked. They were put up against the wall with guns to their heads. So it isn't just a Catholic or Christian sin. American Jews were targeted in colleges and universities, and a lot of folks in the FBI and the past FBI, not this one, didn't give a damn. We can't go back to targeting religion. We can't go back to silencing free speech. The Biden administration did that. So I got questions for you. Hopefully thoughtful questions that you can answer for us in a thoughtful way. How is this FBI now, under your leadership, how are we restoring trust for Catholics, for Hindus, for Jews, for parents, for all the other, for just American people that were targeted by FISA because they had a different viewpoint? How are we restoring that trust in the FBI?
Multiple ways, sir. One, and maybe most importantly, is through transparency and providing the American public with the materials so they can see, read it themselves as to what the abuses were in the past, whether it relates to the Catholic memo or the Hindu incident you talked about at the largest temple in North America. Any institution of faith and any member of faith will not be investigated by this FBI because they are men and women of faith ever, period.
Nor should they. Nor should they. I don't mean to interrupt you, but my God, all the amendments to the freedom of speech, freedom to believe in what you want to believe in. I know you're standing up for that. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, that's it, sir.
Okay. The original amendment was driven by a reliance on sources. The Southern Poverty Law Center. You know, the words sound nice, but the organization's not so nice. And we've seen the Anti-Defamation League distort data that counts as well as violence. Have you been able to identify and eliminate these kinds of partisan sources? We welcome all sources, but we want objectivity and neutrality and decency in the way we report all this. Have you been able to uncover any information there? How do we make sure our sources are good in the future?
We have reviewed the source processes that infiltrate any institutions of faith, and they will no longer be going into institutions of faith. They will be directed towards criminal activity and protecting the homeland, the two most important missions the FBI has, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Good. I'll say this. There's a lot of bull today. A lot of, you know what, I'm not going to say it because I respect the institution so much going on around here. Continue to do the work of the people. You are here for that reason. The administration is here for that reason. It was weaponized and politicized, the FBI in the past. Hope to God we never, ever see that again. One of the darkest parts of American history. Thank you, Mr.
Chairman, of the unanimous consent from the outset, the gentleman from New York is recognized for UC. We'd like to introduce a CNN article that explains how an alleged top leader of the MS-13 gang was dismissed His case was dismissed in Brooklyn so that he could be deported back to El Salvador, even though he was charged with murder.
Context.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent.
Related questions recommended.
I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article titled Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files.
Objection.
I have another one that is a July 2025 article by the New York Times entitled How a Frantic Scouring of the Epstein Files Consumed the Justice Department, stating that DOJ and FBI employees reviewing the Epstein files were instructed to flag any mentions of Trump and other celebrities.
Objection.
And I have another unanimous consent request to enter into the record an August 2025 article by The Guardian entitled Elaine Maxwell hinted at Epstein's ties to Trump officials. Why wasn't she pressed for names? Stating that Maxwell told Deputy U.S. Attorney Todd Blanche that some of the, quote, cast of characters around Epstein are in Trump's cabinet.
Without objection. Chair now recognizes Dylan for this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Patel, for coming before us today. I am concerned by your repeated claims that you're not able to discuss anything further about the Epstein investigation files, and that there's no evidence of a broader conspiracy or other people who should be charged, because the American people aren't verifying that you've been transparent or that there's nothing further to be seen. In your exchange with my colleague, Mr. Roy, you reiterated something that I heard you say yesterday in your Senate testimony, and that is, under your direction, the FBI will always follow the money. Is that right?
The money, did you say?
Yes, you said you'll follow the money. That's right. And just now you said you welcome the opportunity to investigate new evidence. So there has been significant recent reporting just in the last couple of weeks that after Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, 4 major banks flagged more than $1.5 billion in suspicious transactions connected to him that suggested a massive conspiracy related to his sex trafficking activities. Has the FBI reviewed the $1.5 billion in suspicious bank transactions flagged to the government relating to Epstein and his co-conspirators?
I know the FBI has reviewed numerous SARs. I don't know the totality of that number.
Okay, can you provide us with that number?
I'll get back to you.
Okay. And have you initiated any new investigation into those bank transactions since the September 8th when the new reporting came out?
I'll check with the Treasury Department because they're the lead on that.
Okay, so Director Patel, how many individuals or entities has the FBI interviewed, subpoenaed, or compelled to testify? Can you give us those numbers with respect to these bank transactions?
Not off the top of my head, I'll have to work with Treasury.
Okay. We're concerned, you see, because you say you're going after child predators, but obviously this is how you follow the money, is if you follow the bank transactions that apparently enabled the child sex trafficking. Would you agree?
It's one of the valuable investigative tools is to follow the money.
Jeffrey Epstein's victims have asked us to ask you whether or not you've investigated Epstein's lawyers, the lawyers who facilitated those payments. Have you subpoenaed or questioned any of those lawyers?
So in 2018 and 19, what I recollect is many, if not every one of those lawyers was part of the investigation.
But you weren't there at that time.
I wasn't there.
Okay. So can you get us the names and the numbers of who was investigated then with respect to those lawyers?
I was not allowed to release it, absolutely.
Okay, well, if we provide you with subpoenas, I assume you can release it. Is that right?
We have a current subpoena and we're working with Congress to provide it.
You said that the acoustic investigation had an original sin. What do you mean by that?
Basically, if you're looking at an actual pedophile ring, what you should not do is limit the time frame in which you're legally able to collect information. Search warrants, to 2006, 2008 plea agreement.
I grew up there, and I still remember every hidden path through those old walls. Even as a boy, Lord Shimura couldn't keep up with me.
Okay, so I think that is a different discussion, and I think the discussion we'd like to have today is why you aren't following money with respect to the broader conspiracy that it has been reported in the New York Times and elsewhere. And that if you really want to attack the issue, if you wanted to attack the issue, if you wanted to get to the bottom of it, if you wanted to disclose what really was involved in the Epstein files, the Epstein cover-up, then you would be taking very different actions than you are today. I do want to seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the New York Times September 8th, 2025 article, How J.P. Morgan Enabled the Crimes of Jeffrey Epstein.
Objection.
And also an article dated July 17th, 2025, in the Epstein case, Follow the Money. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you much. Pursuant to clause 2K6 of Rule 11, I move that the committee subpoena the CEOs of four banks: JP Morgan, that's Jamie Dimon, Bank of New York Mellon, Robin Vince, Bank of America Brian Moynihan, and Deutsche Bank Christian Sewing, in order to get the suspicious transaction reports. These four banks flagged to the government $1.5 billion in suspicious transactions related to the sex trafficking crimes and conspiracy to Epstein, Maxwell, and all of their collaborators. As you know, Mr. Chairman, the FSR reports have been provided, totaling
What would you like to
$1 billion.
improve?
And so these $1.5 billion in SARS reports we should get, especially since the director doesn't seem to be forthcoming with that.
We'll hold any motions to subpoena in abeyance until the conclusion of the hearing. We turn now recognize the gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director Patel, for being here. It is quite clear that certain members of this committee, they want their 15 seconds on TV stamping. Maybe it's for fundraising, maybe they're struggling in their district, they need a little bump. But they turn a committee into a clown show, and that's what we're seeing. You're being unjustly attacked today. I watched the Senate hearings yesterday. You were attacked, and we know there's an agenda. There's always an agenda. The same characters with the same personality, the same objective, and that is destroy the mega movement. You're being attacked, Director, is because you're effective. You highlighted what you've been doing in D.C. with the president and reducing violent crime. You're very effective. Another individual that was very effective with meaningful debate and dialogue was Charlie Kirk. And they killed him for it. Charlie Kirk was a man of faith. First and foremost, he loved his Lord Jesus. He loved his family. Beautiful wife, beautiful children. Just a remarkable, honorable man that was silenced with this assassin's bullet. I would say if Charlie Kirk lived in the biblical times, he'd have been the 13th disciple. He'd have been the 13th disciple. We have a new committee. If you're not aware, a new select committee regarding January 6th. I'm honored to be on that committee. I'm looking forward to working with other members to expose truth, questioning federal agencies that were involved. On January 6th, like the FBI, played a role. But we don't really know, Director, to what extent. The January 6th was not formed by Nancy Pelosi to seek truth. There was nothing about getting to the truth about January 6th. Their sole mission was to damage Donald J. Trump and end his political career. And everybody knows that. That's what the purpose was. You know what's nice? I get to ask the question of Hunter Biden, California. Donald J. Trump is back in the White House, and America loves him. I spent 30 years in law enforcement, all retired sheriff from Lowndes County in the great state of Texas. I have seen, Director, I've seen more enthusiasm and support for law enforcement today because of what you and Donald Trump have done over the last 8 months to protect the American people. The American people couldn't count on their government to protect them. Crime is rampant. And now we have a president and an administration that puts the American people and their safety first. It's interesting, a few minutes ago, a classmate reached out to me and sent me I told him, I said, yes, we got Director Patel in front of our committee today. And Andy Kane wanted me to tell you. He said, quote, tell him we love him. Tell him we love him and all the brave lawyers exposing the deep state. Yes, you're a great American, sir. You're a great American. Your work as the director of the FBI is commendable. It's commendable. And I want to thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. Keep up the good fight, brother. Don't let him tear you out. Keep up that good fight. You have it in you. So that's what we're about.
Bill needs me. There were 26 gentlemen in the select committee. There were 26 confidential payments sourced at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. 4 entered the Capitol and thereby broke the law. Do you know if those individuals were being paid by the Ray FBI?
So we've provided 600 pages of documents to this committee alone regarding January 6th. That's 600 pages more than any of my predecessors. Generally speaking, confidential human sources are always paid by the FBI. That's how it works. I can't speak to the specifics on each one and how it's paid.
We appreciate it. We reviewed some of that material. You give us a lot of material that we didn't get from Director Ray. That's the big question I think is important to the American people. We're people, we're confidential human sources of the FBI who broke some law. One was recommended for prosecution. My understanding is, by the information we received from you, were they actually paid by the very...
I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Director Patel. I want to focus a little bit on domestic terrorism. We have a graph here of data up to 2021, but as you can tell, domestic terrorism is on the rise. Nation, our citizens under threat. We saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk. 2 assassinations. School shooting in Minnesota last month. And closer to home, just a couple days ago, Huntington Beach, peaceful vigil for Charlie Clark, infiltrated by neo-Nazis who essentially made the local individuals attending that event fear for their safety. All of us know that a lot of these domestic attacks are by lone wolves. But yet they do leave clues, social media or elsewhere. Director Patel, you're it. You're the thin blue line. The FBI, your job to protect our citizens back home from those that would harm us. You have to find a needle in the haystack. It takes a lot of work, a lot of resources. Talking to my local sheriff this morning, who said they're concerned. Federal cuts to local grants that help them do the job. Then, of course, let's not forget about other threats that are coming before us, like high-tech fraud. Local senior recently was talking to me about a text she had gotten, a demand by the IRS to send a payment immediately, or the IRS agents were on their way to arrest this individual. Pretty gutsy stuff. By folks probably from Europe, North Korea, people yeah, little concerned. Friday night lights. One of the events I love to do on Friday nights, go to the local high school football game. Sit there at the stadium and you always say, what if? Well, you're that third line. Can you do your job? Cutting $500 million from your budget?
Thanks, sir. I think we are doing our job, and the distinction is the budget that we have, we are flexing resources. I feel California is receiving the largest FBI plus up of any state in the union due to that plus. They're not getting a reduction. No state is getting a reduction. Every state is getting a plus up. So I'm utilizing the money that we have to first plus it up. And empty vacancies that we have, those haven't been filled in years.
More protection, yet folks on Main Street can do with less.
My concern is folks on Main Street, whereas we also were, I think we received over $300 million in the Big Beautiful Bill, and we've also receiving pops of money from our interagency, so this sort of 500 million cut isn't entirely accurate.
You're still getting cut 200 million plus. You're still moving your agents to do ICE work. So you are leaving a lot of bases uncovered. And I'm not going to be argumentative with you, Director Patel. I'm just saying, if that thin blue line does not hold, people on Main Street will pay the price.
I agree with you, sir.
And I just look forward to working with you because I am very concerned that these kinds of budget cuts are short-sighted, especially my local sheriff calls me and says, we need more support when we're looking at budget cuts.
I'll work with you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, another unanimous consent.
So yields back. The gentleman from New York's recommended unanimous consent.
I seek to introduce a December 2024 OIG report from the Department of Justice, which confirms the conclusion of the Bill Barr Justice Department that the so-called whistleblower, a disgruntled former employee of the Intelligence Committee, was not a credible witness, and there were no further actions taken.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to submit some items for the record.
You bet. Gentleman from California.
First one, Trump's deportation diverts FBI agents off child predator cases. Second one, FBI director backtracks on administration's proposed budget cuts. And number three, Trump administration says 70% of ICE detainees do not have criminal convictions.
Without objection. Gentleman from Texas, recognized.
Thank you. Director, earlier this year, the committee learned of new documents tied to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation and the Russia collusion hoax against President Trump. Your efforts in declassifying key documents tied to this investigation allowed the committee to acquire thousands of pages that it did not have previously. Did any of your predecessors make any effort to declassify these documents?
Not to the extent we have.
Did any of your predecessors share or leak any details that were classified at the time?
There are ongoing leak investigations across the board at the Bureau related to this.
I believe one of those is Mr. Comey, and I thank you for continuing that investigation. Among the declassified documents, the Durham Report Annex, the Crossfire Binder, and the Nellie Orr Criminal Referral. Could you summarize for those watching what we know about the Russia collusion hoax so far?
Sir, I think the record would speak that the Russia collusion matter was perpetrated by a political party to go overseas and obtain information from a foreign intelligence asset, only to have that information, which was demonstrably false, turned over to the FBI, who walked into a federal FISA secret court and asked for a secret surveillance court order and lied to the federal court, and we know that because someone was convicted of it, and only to surveil their political opponents. So that is a massive scandal. We helped expose it. And in terms of the pages of productions, I provided 1,400 pages of production related to Crossfire Hurricane, and my predecessor provided 0.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your courage and commitment to declassify these important documents for our review, and hope that you'll continue with this commitment. Can we expect to see more declassification efforts regarding the Crossfire Hurricane and Russia collusion hoax?
Yes.
Thank you. I yield the remaining balance of my time, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. And Director, that's when it all started, right? The whole Russian, and that's when it all began. And then it was Mueller, then it was impeachment, then it was Jack Smith and Fonnie Willis and Alvin Bragg, and you name it. But it all started then. And that's why I think the gentleman from Texas wants to make sure we get all the information there. And I want to go back to when it was changed. We talked about this earlier. I just want to read to you what the CIA officer said to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Quote, Brennan refused to remove the dossier, and when confronted with the dossier's main flaws, he responded, yes, but doesn't it ring true? That's what he initially said. And then when he was talking to this committee, he said the CIA was very much opposed to having any reference or inclusion of the Steele dossier in the intelligence community assessment. So on one hand, you got a witness who was there saying he refused to remove it, even though he knew it was garbage. And then he's, on the other hand, telling the committee, no, we didn't want anything to do with it. It shouldn't have been a part of the intelligence committee assessment, which we know it was. You know it was. You found that. Those are two entirely different stories. I think Mr. Brennan has some explaining to do, frankly, what happened there. And I think you said earlier that this whole thing, and I think you said to Mr. Goodman, this whole thing is being looked at as part of this grand conspiracy to undermine the president, whether it's Comey, Brennan, Clapper, or head of the Intelligence Committee, now Senator from Canada, whoever it is, that's all being looked at. Is that accurate? Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate that. And part of what's also being looked at, and I think the gentleman from Wisconsin brought this up earlier, what is the burn bag for, by the way?
Generally speaking, the intelligence community obviously utilizes and possesses classified documents, but drafts of those classified documents, even ultimate finished products of those classified documents, have to be recorded and or discarded. And if they are discarded, the only way that we do that is we literally put them in burn bags that are identified specifically for that purpose. And there is a very exact courier system which the burn bags contain and stored inside of Android.
Get rid of the material, right? And it looks like the annex that the Department of Investigation had was put into a burn bag by your predecessor. I assume it should be destroyed. Is that accurate?
Without getting into conversation.
You find that interesting that the annex was in burn bag? That on YouTube. Yeah.
We found a lot of information in a lot of burn bags.
Well, we appreciate you finding that. We'd like to know a little bit more about that. We look forward to that information coming forward. And I appreciate the gentleman yielding. With that, we now recognize the gentleman from Colorado.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. Thank you, Director Patel, for being
Oh yeah, I know, man. I know him in real life, and he would never talk to me like this. We need to investigate every president, brother. You know I'm not a Democrat or liberal or Republican. Seeing that I never vote for any of these fuckers. I'm here to expose, not to back up any of these idiots. So that when I see someone acting like it's actually a good thing regarding any act that a United States president has done in the past since the 90s, that's when I've been alive. I'm gonna call it out because they'll do one good thing over here and then bomb a whole country overseas. Oh, I thought I paused this.